What's going on, guys? This video is going to be made to go out and hopefully the devs see this video. The last time I did a video like this, they did. Agrin responded and it was awesome. It gave us some clarification on some things. So this video is going to be another video like that, a message to the WoW Classic devs, right? I've been putting in a lot of work, a lot of time polling the community over on YouTube, creating videos to create discussions, kind of reading between the lines here on what everyone really seems to want and what everyone needs going forward with at least these classic anniversary realms, right? The vanilla anniversary realms that are moving into TBC. I have a lot of insight, and this might be the only way I can get the devs to see it and recognize that this is something that people are talking about. So we're going to jump right into this. We're going to do a little walk and talk, and I'm going to let you guys know what I've found out. Okay, so for starters, there's been a lot of talk lately, talking about, do we need TBC fresh servers? Do we not get any fresh servers? GDKP ban versus no GDKP ban. A lot of this stuff has been coming up, and myself, along with some other classic creators, have really been kind of diving into the community, creating discussions about this, talking amongst ourselves and talking with a large portion of the community at this point. And the first topic that I want to get into would be to talk about the community's division on the fresh servers that they're wanting for TBC versus people who don't want fresh servers. Now, this one, I was kind of one-sided until I heard a lot of community members' reasons to why they wanted fresh servers. And a lot of the reasons are pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Myself personally, for the last 3 weeks, I've been doing nothing but playing on Anniversary. So now I have a better understanding of the situation and why people may want this. So there's two sides to this, right? There's the people who do not want any fresh servers for the Burning Crusade. And then there's people who are claiming they won't even play if there's no fresh servers. Now, this is for a multitude of reasons, but the most important ones being the economy, the bot situation, gold being everything being super inflated, and the fact that they're going to be behind and all these people they're moving into TBC with are rank 14. Now, this was caused by a couple of things, right? Personally, and from what I've seen, I think that deleting the decay system on the honor and ranking system, kind of a bad choice, in my opinion. Just because it now forced people to do this grind. If you wanted the best gear, you have to do the grind. It kind of took away the entire point of playing the game. But it coincides with a lot of other things, so let me keep going. Having to do that rank 14 grind to have the best gear, the problem is it was always in the game, but it was so far off and so hard to obtain that not many people did it. So it wasn't really the standard. It wasn't what you needed to do to be in a guild and parse and do well, or even just be in any guild. I mean, I'm seeing average guilds here on Anniversary requiring you to have at least the rank 13 full set of gear. You don't need the weapon, but you need to be at least rank 13, and that's kind of crazy in my opinion. That was never a thing before. So getting rid of the decay actually made it worse. It forced people to go out and farm AV, which most people are kind of just mindlessly AFKing or running around. They're not even playing it because after you're doing it for hundreds and hundreds of hours, it's not that fun for a lot of people. Some people, yes, it is, but for everyone else, it's not. So I think that was, in my opinion, a mistake. I know it was something we were trying here, but it didn't really foster any good thing. It actually kind of killed a lot of the raiding scene. It made it harder to join guilds. You can no longer parse or do anything like that. And everyone you're up against is now rank 14 as long as they had the time or they were working from home or whatever and just AFKing Alterac Valley on their other screen, which is the reality of it, right? That's really what happened. Now, so aside from everyone being in rank 14 gear, the other issue is the economy, right? GDKPs have been banned since day one on Anniversary, yet Anniversary, we saw the craziest economy that we have ever seen in any version of Classic to date. It was wild, 500-600 gold flasks and things like that. Not very good. I mean, it was pretty bad. Blizzard made some changes with Black Lotus and all that stuff, fixed it for the most part, but it's still really expensive. For you to go buy a GFPP on the auction house, you're looking at 13 to 18 gold per. Right? And I know this because my shaman is a 300 alchemist. I use it to make a lot of gold, but it's crazy. And any normal person trying to run these consumes, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it, right? So that really is an issue. The economy is an issue. I understand the argument for a fresh when looking at the economy over here on Anniversary. So I polled the community a lot over the past few weeks. I run polls on my YouTube. I get lots of votes, thousands of votes on all my polls. I've made videos, discussions, having really deep discussions in the comments of a lot of my videos, right? And it's kind of, I'm putting myself in the crosshair here because I know this is some controversial stuff and there's people on both sides and I get it. But I feel like it's my job as a content creator who loves this game and truly believes that this game can be even better than it is. I feel like it's part of my responsibility to see what I can get from people, see why on both sides, and then make videos like this where I can relay it to hopefully the devs to see. They may not see it, but if they do, it would be awesome if they can make some sort of a response. So the economy, right? And I was completely against the fresh TBC server thing for a while, but I'm not against it in one way. And the one way that I would not be against it, and I think this is something Blizzard should look into, devs, if you're watching this, maybe you should look into doing something like this or consider it, would be to, if you did a fresh server, right? Let's say you did a fresh RP PvP server going into TBC, right? Maybe if you even dropped it before pre-patch hits, or maybe you dropped it now, maybe you dropped it in pre-patch, whatever, whenever you drop it. Maybe it would be really cool to launch this server with the current GDKP ban, the current, gold swapping ban, like you can't swap gold from Season of Discovery over to Anniversary, whatever, but also try banning mage boosting, and possibly even the Warlock summoning service that's run by straight up bots at this point. I mean, it's to a point where you cannot be a normal Warlock and make a summoning service business with your friends. You get mass reported by these bot mafias that then get you literally automatically suspended or banned because you're, stepping on their turf. It's a real thing. It's happened. It's happened to people that I know. I myself was running a Warlock summoning service on my Warlock with my friend, and I got threatened by these bot mafias, right? Because I was trying to undercut by 50 silver. It's a crazy thing, but imagine a server, an RP PvP server going into TBC that had GDKPs banned, it had mage boosting banned, and even if you left the Warlock summoning available, mage boosting being banned, GDKPs being banned, and gear selling services being banned. But even that one I think you can leave in. It's not as common, and you know what? If a rogue wants to solo Angerforge and farm someone a Hodge for money, I think that that's a legitimate way to make gold in this game. Just mage boosting, just GDKPs. If you take out the mage boosting and you take out the GDKPs, what is the real incentive to buy gold outside of maybe your raid consumes? There really isn't any. The only real incentive there is to have your raid consumes, right? But consume prices, if mage boosting is banned, I don't think it would be as bad, right? Because mage boosting is a massive, massive thing. You're still going to have bots going out and farming herbs and all of that stuff. But I feel like, that's another problem where, like, if we can't really fully tackle the bot situation, that's always going to be an issue. But if we get rid of the boosting is a massive part in what inflates this economy. That is how these bots or, gold sellers farm the majority of their gold. It's boosting, Maradon, all of that stuff. So if we had GDKPs banned on an RP PvP server that was fresh and mage boosting, it kind of makes sense. I think it would really work wonders for the economy. And I think if we took it even a step further, like I was saying, and banned the whole Warlock summoning service as a business all around the world, these are things that directly attack how the game is played. With the Warlock summoning and the mage boosting, you basically skip the entire game to level 60, and it is a massive incentive to buy copious amounts of gold if you just want to get to 60. So it created a system where people are buying gold to mage boost to level 60. They get summoned all over the world. They could play the entire game without leaving Stormwind or Orgrimmar, and then they finally get to level 60 and they AFK in Alterac Valley to hit rank 14 and get the best gear possible. I personally don't think this is a great gameplay loop. I don't think it's good for the health of the game. And I think if all of these things were banned on a fresh server with a fresh economy going forward, it would be probably the healthiest server we've ever seen in Classic, right? It makes sense. And this is crazy for me to say because speaking to the devs and the community, you all know that I'm not fully against GDKP because I know that it's not the reason for RMT. The major reason for RMT is boosting and all this other stuff, like the Warlock summons. People could basically skip playing the game. Arguably, GDKP was a way people played the game. Yes, some people RMT'd to get into these GDKPs, but what I'm trying to say is it's not the root of the problem. GDKP is a fun system for people to play alts. If we look into the Burning Crusade, I'm actually a little bit worried about how many people are going to stay playing phases into it, because at the end of the day, there's a lot less to do out in the world in the Burning Crusade than there is to do in vanilla. Leveling is a way smaller portion of TBC, right? So without GDKPs, really GDKPs kept the Burning Crusade afloat towards the end there. Black Temple Hyjal rolled around. Really, GDKPs started picking up at the end when Sunwell came out. I mean, there was a lot going on earlier, but there were still average and normal guilds running all these raids. But once all those people drop off, the people who kept raiding were the people farming gold for Wrath, the people doing GDKPs. Now, I know everyone in the comments is going to say GDKP, well, some of you in the comments. I've learned recently that half of this community actually does want GDKPs, which we'll get into in a minute. The people who aren't RMTing, GDKPs was a fun way to play alts. It was a fun way to continue playing your character. If you were fully geared and you wanted to keep raiding and you wanted to use it as a way to farm gold, it was a legitimate way to play the game. Now, in the Burning Crusade, like I said, there's not as much going on out in the world. There's not much to do aside from arenas and raid after a while, right? Once you're attuned to everything, once you've done all your heroics on that character, all there is to do is the raids and arena. GDKPs gave you an option to keep playing alts and keep playing characters, to farm gold, to maybe fund another character. Yeah, maybe you farmed gold. What I used to do in Wrath was I would get my character geared. I'd get into one GDKP as a carry. I'd get a nice payout from that, and then that would snowball me. I'd be able to join GDKPs and keep raiding that way. That would fund my next alt. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I'm not alone in this. I know there's a lot of people that are. I know that we've taken a big stance against GDKPs, and that's where I'm coming from with the, if we did a fresh server, RP, PvP, or just a PvP server, and you banned GDKPs, Warlock summoning services that are run by bots, and mage boosting, I think it would have one of the strongest economies in all of Classic WoW. And keep in the Black Lotus changes as well that you put in. Those would be really good, right? I think it would be really strong. And then go ahead and enable GDKPs on Night Slayer, or do it reverse, whatever you want to do. Have everything in on one server and have everything banned on another server. And I'd really be curious to know the numbers here. I think that most people, I think both servers would have a healthy population for different reasons, right? I'm just curious to see how that would work. I wish we could see that. We could see how that would affect the player base, where people would go. I think it would be really, really cool to see. I think it's a good idea. Kind of like the economy would be self-found because there's no mass gold farming going on by bots. I think it would be a really cool experiment. And if I don't know if you guys are, looking to experiment going forward into this Burning Crusade server, but it's something to look at. I think it would be a really cool idea to do a server like that. I think it would draw a lot of life back into the community, and it would kill a lot of arguments, because the argument right now that a lot of people are having is, okay, GDKPs are banned. Some people are really happy about this. Some people aren't. And the reasoning for that is we banned GDKPs, but then we created a gameplay loop where people still just buy a ton of gold to boost all the way to 60. They go buy their Hodge run. They get summons all over the world, and then they AFK in Alterac Valley to rank 14. So banning GDKPs really didn't help the guild scene or anything like that. I don't speak for the entire player base, but I didn't even find out about GDKPs till well into Classic, and they were going on the whole time. I had no issues raiding with real guilds, joining real guilds. I didn't even know what they were, and then when I found out what they were, I was like, oh, this is cool. I could actually play this game more than I thought I was going to. But that's just my personal opinion. I've kind of taken a stance on this where I am pro GDKP if it's done right. I'm also pro banning GDKP if it's done right. I don't personally think banning GDKP is done right if that's the only thing being banned, because it's not the big problem. Like I said before, the big problem is the mage boosting and the selling the gear and the fact that you can play the entire game AFK at this point without GDKPs even being in the game. GDKPs at least forced people to still get together with a group of people and go out and clear raid content. You were still playing the game. You weren't skipping the entire game by paying 8 gold for a summon across the world, sitting AFK in Moradon for 20 hours, letting a mage level up your character. At least you were playing the game, right? So if all of these things encourage RMT, which they do, including GDKPs. I'm not oblivious to the fact that that's a thing. I know that. But if all of these things encourage RMT, we only tackled the one that still got players together and made them play the game. We didn't tackle the ones that let the players play the game completely AFK, is my point in this video. I wanted to see if I can really kind of articulate this in a way where people could understand where I'm coming from. I'm no longer fully pro GDKP. I'm pro GDKP if the game stays the way it is now. I think it should be in on Night Slayer. I know a lot of people, and more people will be playing the game. All the people that rank to 14 would be raiding, farming gold that way to have for TBC for their epic flying mounts or whatever. But I am pro banning GDKP if everything else was banned as well, and it launched with a fresh server, right? In the current phase that we're in the Zul'Gurub phase, if a fresh server came out next week on Tuesday with all of this stuff banned, and it was a PvP server, an RP PvP server, I think it would be the most fun people have ever had in Classic. And I really want to drive this point home, because after polling the community for the past few weeks and making these videos, having these discussions, going on podcasts, it's directly split down the middle. And I don't think there's a way to make everybody happy here. So I think the solution is to have one server that has everything enabled. You can play it how you want, still, you know, moderating and doing bans for RMT, all of that stuff. And then another server where all of this stuff is banned and you're forced to play the game without RMT. I think that's the way to do it, because I know it's almost impossible to get rid of all these bots. I'm not oblivious to that. I'm not a developer, but I know how hard this stuff is to do. I get it. But that's a way to combat it. Make it so there's no real reason for copious amounts of RMT. Because getting rid of GDKPs was great, a great start at that. But the thing is, it really just took away something that people enjoyed. It took away a way that people got together and enjoyed raiding on alts. And we left in the mage boosting and everything else. If we want to ban GDKP, we need to ban all of the stuff that encourages RMT. And I think having a server that allows that stuff, and then another server that doesn't allow that stuff, is a good way to kind of see moving forward where the community lies. Personally, I think there would be a player base on each one. I think I would still have characters on the GDKP server where everything is enabled, because I enjoy doing GDKPs, but I would have an absolute blast playing on a fresh server that all of this stuff was banned. You knew everyone that was out there leveled the right way. You knew everyone that was out there wasn't going to be rank 14, and you had to do these raids, and you had to farm your gear, and you didn't get boosted all the way up. I think it would make a world of difference, and I really think it would be a cool experiment, and now is kind of like the perfect time to do it, right? But, you know, I don't know if the devs are even going to see this video, but I wanted to make it because I feel like I've gotten a lot of feedback over the past few weeks on what the community wants and what the community feels. And it's really split directly down the middle. But one thing that everyone has agreed on is the idea of having these servers that have everything banned, right? I have a lot of people who are pro GDKP and aren't even playing TBC if there is no GDKPs, because it is a very raid loggy expansion towards the end. So without that, people played 5-6 characters in the original TBC Classic. This time around, they're like, yeah, I'll play one and just raid log. I don't really see a point if, you know, I can't do GDKPs. And I get that. But I think it's split down the middle. I think having an option for both sides, it's just 2 servers. I think that would be a really good thing. And you know, we could have the servers melded together for battlegrounds and arenas and stuff like that. And I think that would be good. But hopefully this video gets seen by some dev somewhere. You know, you guys do a great job with this. I know you have a lot on your plate. I want everyone who comments on this video to refrain from being extremely toxic, please. I will be banning any comments towards myself or the devs that are extremely toxic on this topic. If you have some constructive criticism to bring up, some constructive explanations, you know, explaining why you want things a certain way, that's always welcome. But I will not tolerate any attacks on anyone in the comments of this video, so keep that in mind. But I do want people to discuss down below and let me know their reasons why they're swinging one way or the other. And if you think this would be a good idea, I really would like to know. So please comment that down below, subscribe to the channel, jump over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/hammerdance. We've been exploding on Twitch the last week. We're having a lot of fun. We're leveling over on Anniversary. We have a couple of characters going. We're world PvPing. We're just having a good time. But anyways, that's all I've got for you guys today. Devs, if you see this video, please let me know that you saw it. It would be greatly appreciated. I love this game. I really care about it. And I know you guys are doing the best job that you possibly can do. You have a lot on your plates. And it would be nice to know if you did see this video. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.